Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It's the 1st of November, and Anthony Defoe was holding on for Janice Lemon Creaky on the front line. Did an amazing job. He had to come off 10 minutes early, so I know that I thought that we could jump in earlier tonight and use up that space and talk a little bit. So while our people still out and about, let's get them inside. Yeah? Let's get them inside. Start the madness. Share the video. Let's get busy. Chant of a madman indeed. The chant of a madman is the only salvation. David Rudder is the closest thing we have to a prophet, you know. A bullet start a wine and put an end to the joy. What he talking about there is what became, Tony touched on it, what became of the grandchildren of Africa in Trinidad and Tobago. I have a real sore throat tonight. But tonight, I want to call the police. And I might do it live on air. Tonight, I want to call the police. I want to file a missing persons report tonight. And I might do it live on air with you tonight to file that missing persons report. Because they have people missing in this society. I want to call the police and file a report and tell them, keep Rowley missing. Keep Rowley missing. Since the mark bus on Keith Rowley's connection to AV oil and the $100 million in fake oil, Keith get little invisible. And then since this new mark bus, that when he was Minister of Housing, the PNM government bought land from John Rahal that John Rahal didn't own. And the country need to learn how John Rahal, as Minister of Agriculture, come to be in possession of so much Caroni land. We need a separate inquiry into John Rahal, his family, his companies, any businesses he was associated with, Superfarm, CDAP. We need a special inquiry into John Rahal. We need that inquiry. We need to understand in this scenario, how John Rahal end up as the owner of Greenvale, how he come to be in possession of that land. Was it put on the open market for sale? Or was he, as Minister of Agriculture, himself to himself? The country needs to know, and I am aware that John Rahal is now suffering from Alzheimer's. So he may not be able to sit down on a panel and give evidence. But that's okay, because we don't even need that right now. What we need is to take all the land back. I would like to know how the Rahal family ended up with the land that South Park is on. Was that Caroni land? How did they come to get that land? You see, a Progressive Empowerment Party government will go after all of these PNM bigwigs who help themselves. And we need to bring into the public space Howard Chinley, Arthur Chinley, the Chinley family, all the Chinley companies. How did Chinley end up with Pier 1? How you end up with Pier 1? How much they paid for Pier 1, you see? And I want you to hear me well. I want you to hear me well. I'm saying it slow, so Kwamena could write everything down. Because all these names are calling Rowley, Rahal, Chinley. I mean, Kwamena boys. So Kwamena have plenty notes to take. Trinidad and Tobago has to understand, regardless of what stunts and gymnastics they do, all of that property belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago first. And if there was any skimmy-dimmy, vote yourself a government that will unskimmy-dimmy it and put it back in the public space. If South Park is on Caroni land and it is questionable circumstances, South Park belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's that serious. And I want the Rahal clan to hear me. I want to know how John Rahal, as a Minister of Agriculture who shut Caroni down, end up with so much Caroni land. We need that inquiry. We need an inquiry into John Rahal as Minister of Agriculture under the PNM, who shut Caroni down and apparently helped himself to some land. We need an inquiry into the Tobago House of Assembly, the Rahal family, and Milsherv. We need an inquiry into that. We need to get to the bottom of what shenanigans Orville London and John Rahal got up to. Vote yourself a government that is not the UNC. You see, the UNC have so much cocoa in the sun. Them afraid rain. Them ain't marking, them ain't busting nobody, man. Monilal and Rowley and Imbert and all the rest of them are set of shit in the talking, back busting in the parliament. But they're not serious. It's theater. It's entertainment. A Progressive Empowerment Party government would involve real prosecution into that. Anywhere that the investigation turns out that the people who own, I want to know the strip malls from Price Plaza, all those strip malls, Extra Foods, all of those strip malls going up the road, I want to know how they end up with that. The whole country walks around talking about how Sabga and Grand Bazaar end up on the highway reserve that caused the country to have to twist and turn to find a way to get us out. Because Sabga built Grand Bazaar on the highway reserve. Right now, Massey Stores in Maraval is squatting on the river reserve in Maraval, where some apartments being built behind it, where the water's supposed to run. Same thing like Greenvale. Any piece of land that's sit down there that nobody using, it seems to be that people think pick it up and go with it. Massey Stores in Maraval is squatting on the river reserve. Grand Bazaar was built on the highway reserve. All that skimmy-dimmy to go south and come back from south is because the piece of land that was supposed to be there under National Brewing Company, and in front of that, they take all that and build Grand Bazaar. But we need to find out, how did that come to be? And Trinidadians have to ask these questions now. You cannot ask it with Keith Rowley or the PNM. Colm Imbert not investigating Rowley because Rowley know the bullshit Colm Imbert do. So them covering for each other. Coming up, right, Imbert name down. Faris Al-Rawi not talking about any of the bullshit Rowley do because Rowley know what Faris do. Coming up, right, Faris Al-Rawi name down. You see, what took place with one Alexandra Place in Sinclair was a crime. What took place, the parliament was already dissolved. There was no governmental authority to enter that place. Your Attorney General has questions to answer, but they're going to duck that because the UNC used the same building under Chandra Sharma for criminal self-enrichment and corruption. This is where the money goes. When you hear cost overrun in a contract, one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you. One for this one to look away, one for that one in case they forget to look away, to make it go away. This is Trinidad and Tobago. And as long, today, the Express front page says both of them to blame. PNM and UNC. We've turned the corner. We've turned the corner. We are at the point where we're minutes away from identifying that we have had a musical chairs of two criminal governments fronting criminal financiers whose only interest was to secure themselves and their families with $100 million contracts to the detriment of the nation. Greenvale was agriculture land. First question, John Rahal, how did you come to have title of Caroni land? First question. Second question, Camille Robinson Regis, we was always coming by you. We was always coming by you, madam, who took Trinidad money to pay for fertility treatments and not updating us as to where these children are. We have shares in these children. We paid for the fertility that allowed you to get pregnant to make these children. At least tell we what going on now, so we don't take it to court and file for custody or visitation. We have shares. And every time I see you, Camille Robinson Regis, as remember that Trinidad Treasury dollars, poor people taxes, paid for your weave. And I'll never forget that. Because it's a level of stink and dirty that will take taxpayers' money to pay for something small like your weave. I show it the check. We pay for your personal hygiene products too. I show it the check. But this is a country that can't ask you about the $143,000 in the brown paper bag. Because PNM and UNC, the day they go at each other, is mutual assured destruction. If Trinidad and Tobago vote a progressive empowerment party government into office, we have to empty the jail. Because politicians and businessmen, the Chamber of Commerce, will end up calling a meeting and half the hall empty, you know. They are contractors, they are lawyers, they are accounting firms in this country. Ernst & Young PricewaterhouseCoopers could help us answer questions for a long time to come. Stuart Young's ex-wife, Maria, knows that she knows. She have information about where all the bodies buried. But a summons from the court will get all of them to put forward the information in the public space. The Commission of Inquiry ask questions. Not the Commission of Inquiry into CLICO asked questions of PricewaterhouseCoopers that published pure fiction at the behest of Lawrence Dupree. And neither Lawrence Dupree or any of his bagmen were prosecuted because CLICO and CL Financial was a feeding trough for the PNM and the UNC and Dupre put money in Omar account to pay for Michaela and she's sister education. So when you hear them talk, when you hear Michaela want to come as the new face of integrity, tell Michaela, until you can account for the money that Dupre gave your father when he was prime minister to pay for your education, miss us with the bullshit. You understand? And Trinidad and Tobago, when Tony Defoe said on Frontline, we have one chance, we have one chance. We have one chance. This is it. You have one shot. And they're going to unleash hell. I see it coming. They're going to spend every dollar they could find. They go bribe you till you can't done bribe. You think before it was phone and $1,000 and jersey? Now you're getting pants too. You're getting dishwasher and air conditioner for your house. It's now PNM and UNC go trip over each other trying to bribe you for votes because I'm telling you what they're afraid of. The Progressive Empowerment Party comes to power and starts the investigation from September 1st, 1962. From Johnny O, O.I., Sam P. Wallace come forward. All of them. The entire Rogues Gallery. I want that job. I want it to come through the years. We reach up in the lock joint scandal, the water for all scandal, the first one, the saltwater main scandal, Central Bank Tower scandal, Mount Hope scandal, my partner with the Mercedes-Benz, anyway, the Foreshore Freeway scandal, them thing, Churchill, Roosevelt and Beetham, Uriah Butler, all highways built on theft, bacchanal, corruption, conspiracy to enrich and steal money. All of those scandals come right up into the 80s, where it started to change hands, where drug money come in the country now in a big way. So now the drug men, the drug barons need to get inside the PNM and the UNC and pelt out money for them. So they're pelting out money that you could buy votes to get them in office because they want contracts to wash cocaine money that importing into Trinidad and Tobago. That's your country. That's your Trinidad and Tobago. And if you do not, and they're giving one another awards, you know. They're giving one another awards. I tell Trinidad and Tobago, I want you to hear me say this. Never give me a national award. It's tainted. It's dirty. When they give, let me say it, from Southland Mall, corruption scandal, the highest award in the land, I say, well, no. You could use that to tie hog because it have no value. It is not a symbol of success. It is now a symbol of getting away with murder. That is what our awards, national awards, have become. I prefer you give me a Styrotex cup full of corn soup with a spoon and a napkin than try to give me any national award because it's tainted by the people who have received it. It's like when Mario Sabga Abood get Entrepreneur of the Year award from Bastille Pandey and Ernst & Young. I laugh because I still waiting to find out how Mario Sabga Abood built 126 stores in this country in 10 years. And I want Mario to tell me. I want Mario to tell Trinidad. There are a lot of business people in the country who would like to learn the secret of that kind of success, Mario. They would like to know how you access that kind of finance to expand. Mr. 1% most powerful Starbucks of the Caribbean. The people in this country want to know, need to know how you do that. How you come from nowhere and buy 126 restaurants in 10 years. How you build one a month. But Bastille Pandey, who tries to walk around Trinidad and Tobago like this paragon of virtue, may not be Satan, but he is Satan big child. Because Bastille Pandey took this country at a time when the people put trust in him for his journey, fighting the parasitic oligarchy. And that stunting son of a bitch give us Piaco corruption. Ish, Steve, Brian Gill, Russell Huggins, and the rest. Under Bastille Pandey, the country charged 2 companies with criminal corruption, Northern Construction and Maritime Insurance. Under Bastille Pandey and Patrick Manning, Hafiz Karamat ran amok, built a desalination plant for the country and ended up he owned it. That same man who police went in his house in Valsay and find, you remember, drugs, guns, dildos for some reason, casino, armored cars. Hafiz Karamat, dead and gone, dead and gone. But this is the legacy of Trinidad and Tobago, a nation catching its ass to stand up, have 4 skyscrapers in Toronto built on stolen Trinidad and Tobago money, courtesy of Eric Williams. Build Panama. We pave Panama with Trinidad pitch. We pave in China now with Trinidad pitch, free of charge. Just put the commission in my account. Ask Rowley and Stuart Young to explain the deal. Ask Kamala why she's so quiet. If she could explain the deal also. Ask the entire stunting Yellow Brigade. Ask them. Because under the UNC, you get overnight millionaires, overnight billionaires like Calco and Ish and Northern Construction. When Pandey came to office, Northern Construction barely own a backhoe, get every contract. Look at Calco. How much contract Calco get? And Calco father-in-law was the director of highways, Roger Ganesh, who left the job to go and become CEO of Calco after he built the company on taxpayer money. Taxpayer contracts, sole select. This nation, if you tried tomorrow to begin to unravel where our $3 trillion gone, the names that you will hear, the people whose names who walk around this country like paragons of virtue, Mr. Success, Mrs. Success, wearing Trinity Cross and Order of the Shakonia and all this bullshit, front of the mosque, front of the temple, front of the church. Father, take some money now, man. Gillette and them, they sit down in Living Waters. And when I realized that Lindsay Gillette goes to Living Waters, Rhonda Mengo, and Rose Jackman stop seeing me. These people, and here the names are calling for you, both sides of the Great Divide. Because the Gillette family put Lindsay in UNC and Peter in PNN. Fix all your business. Fix all your business. Quiet though. Quiet. Don't let nobody know what really paying the bills. Montano, one in PNM, one in UNC. That's the game. That's the game. If you want to know how this country comes to be what it is right now, forget it. If you want to know what Bill, St. Clair, Valsane, and Goodwood Park, Fairways, put the Progressive Empowerment Party government party into office as government. And I promise you, Patrick Manning and Eric Williams will turn in their graves. If you want to know how big a narcotics pipeline this country is, and you want to see who is involved in what has destroyed this nation, we getting tied up with Chumacak and 5 black boys and police kill them. That is not even the tip of the spear. That is joke. Everything has a cause. That is not the subject. Having Gary Griffith on Breaking Dawn and Fazir and Hamer trying to defend it is irrelevant. It is not important because the country has become so broken. The criminal element in Trinidad and Tobago so brazen that the average person, while you don't want to think that the police involved in extrajudicial killing, you're crossing 2 fingers behind your back and hoping they kill the right ones. Because something had to happen in a country where a man breaking Stevens and Johnson's on Frederick Street and the matter took 25 years to work its way through the courts. Where a woman was raped inside a police station by the ranking police officer, and they were able to access the piece of foam he raped her on. And that matter took 17 years. If you want to understand why people are so fed up and frustrated, even police, and I have to have both thoughts. I have to say, how did we become a country where it is so easy for the police to kill 5 people and if not throw the nation in uproar and cause all manner of inquiries? Because we as a country no longer know who to trust. No longer know who to trust. There are people who find themselves on my wall, on the Progressive Empowerment Party walls. They find themselves in Stand Up TNT, the largest political Facebook group for Trinidad and Tobago. And they find themselves there. And they know the mother is a sycophant, the father is a sycophant. UNC or PNM. And they reach the fed up. They may want nothing to do with either. But they don't know who to trust. They don't have to trust me. Who to trust? How you could trust somebody else when the only thing you have ever known in Trinidad and Tobago politically is abuse, mismanagement, corruption, dysfunction, bacchanal, noise, abuse of public office, misbehavior in public office, corrupt self-enrichment, corruption, criminality at the highest levels. If all you've known in exchange for your vote for the past 56 years is criminals in government, how, in God's name, do you find the ability to trust? Like that little girl that jackass beat stupid. Now, I don't know. I hope he get what he deserve. I hope he get what he deserve. I know what he deserve. He deserve a cuttass worse than that. He deserve a proper cuttass. He deserve the kind of cuttass that the next time he think to raise his hand to hit a woman, he remember the teeth in his mouth rattling his head. That is the kind of cuttass that jackass deserve. But that son of a bitch, so full of hate, he filmed himself beating that woman. That is the level that we have gotten to. That's the level we get to in this country. That's the level.
You ain't find somebody chanting to we. What do we and we go set you free? Somebody practicing natural law. I like a yogi and all the war. Seeking a peace and all the pain. The same woman practicing to put on the head. Somebody practicing to run on the bread. Somebody pushing a world-class plan. Somebody clean out the weed well fast. But somebody letting the cocaine pass.
Hundreds of millions of dollars of cocaine. 600 million found on Monas. $600 million found on Monas. Not one person brought to justice. Not one case made it to the end and found the importer, the money trail, found who he bought it from, became an international matter. Not one. Because in this country, crime pays. In Trinidad and Tobago, when you're raising your children and you telling your children, go to school and get your passes and get your degree and come out and get a job, so one day I start that over. Because I see what they're doing to the connection. And I'm telling you, I will pause every time the connection pauses so you don't lose anything. And if you want, wait till after and watch it again on the rerun or on YouTube. But if you telling your children, go to school and study hard and get your passes and study more and get your degree and live a good and honest life so you could catch your ass and suffer in Trinidad and Tobago. If you want to be successful, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be driving Beamer 3, 5, and 7 series, if you want to be rock back in a Benz or a Range Rover or God forbid a Porsche Cayenne, you have to be a thief. And a high-level thief. In Trinidad and Tobago, crime pays. In Trinidad and Tobago, you need to get a position like Minister of Agriculture so you could thief out Caroni land. John Rahal could tell us about that, and we need to know. We have a responsibility to ask, and we need to be able to put these people in a box, in a court, and make them confess. How do you come to have what you have? How you come to own what you own? Explain that. Dan, man, you're talking plenty. I want you to listen more than you're talking tonight, because this information, don't distract yourself. Where we as a people need to go right now is we want better. We want better. We want a better country. We want better government. We want justice. We want this place run right. We want it fixed. We want all them fake Chinese deal mash up. We want that scandal mash up. We want to fix back the Tobago Sea Bridge. We want to re-establish Petrotrain and Caroni Limited. Caroni Limited could have made this country the food basket of the region. And it could again. And all those people who help themselves to Caroni land, I don't care what they build on it. A progressive empowerment party government will break it all down and put it back into food production. Because food independence, and this is what they're hiding from you, Hadco, Amco, Massey want us growing nothing. Grow nothing. Frustrate the farmers. Make it impossible for the market to sell so that we could import everything you're eating and make billions on your hunger. This is Saul Alinsky wrote How to Run a Country a long time ago. And Trinidad, Eric Williams, use it as a blueprint. Frustrate the people. Make them literally suffer for everything. Healthcare, education, food production, home ownership, jobs, even the blasted water in your pipe. They failed at everything deliberately. When you fail to put water in the pipe, you make it so that blue waters could sell. Because if there was fresh water in the pipe, and Singapore that got their independence same time as us, the water in Singapore pipe, purer than this. Purer than this. The water that coming out your pipe. If we had pure water coming out the pipe, but a progressive empowerment party government promises you to decentralize WASA, to break it up into 41 companies, each of them responsible for sourcing, storing, processing, and distributing A1 quality water throughout the country. If you still buy bottled water after that, is on you. But we will make sure that you get pure, clean water 24/7 a day. And it's not rocket science, and it's not magic. We don't need to bring all of the wizards and the magicians of old. Trinidad got in one weekend more rainfall, more water than we could consume in 10 years. If we had the ability to hold it, treat it, save it, and distribute it, we're good for the next decade. But we don't, because we deliberately don't. Because the water truck mafia is big money now. Big money. So you can't have water in your pipe. You must buy water at $600 and $700 and $800 a truckload. And listen, when your children living in a house that they have water for a whole week, and the toilet air flush for 4 days, and every dish you own stink in the sink, you will pay that $800. That is called shock doctrine. That is how they frustrate you to the point where you will take anything. And that's what they've done. And we have to undo this country. Something as simple as a water management policy that will do 3 things. Guarantee every citizen water 24/7 a day. End flooding and end drought. Those 3 things, one policy. One proper policy from one proper government that not interested in corruptly destroying the country to the benefit of friends and finances. One water policy that deals with retention ponds in the floodplains, dams, and lakes. We could build a lake. We could bypass water from Diego Martin and send it to lakes in all of the northern range, all of the valleys. Check it. Check from Carnage. We designed the whole north of Trinidad from Diego Martin to Arima is valleys. We're living in a valley. We're paying for your water twice. And that is not the only thing you're paying for twice. Everybody in this country paying health surcharge. Everybody in this country, money coming out your salary, or your savings or your taxes to go towards public health, and the vast majority of people who can afford to never walk in a public health institution is paying for it and then going for private health care in West Shore, St. Clair, St. Joseph, St. Augustine. Why? Because it is deliberately failed. Deliberately failed. The same people who run in St. Clair, West Shore, St. Joseph, and St. Augustine, and Gulfview could run public health hospitals. But we don't want them run properly. We need to rip you off twice. That's Trinidad and Tobago. Your children must not go to school and get a proper education in the $5 billion a year budgeted school system. You must also dig deep and pay for extra lessons. Finland, that has the highest standard of education in the world, the children do not get more than 4 hours of schoolwork and 0 homework. How come they can make it work and we can't? We cannot. We need 8 hours of drilling in the school and 2 more hours drilling in the afternoon just for the children to keep up. When you see things like SCA and CXC coming up, that is give up your life. That is studying till you're in the toilet, you're studying, in the bathroom, you're studying, you're in your bed to sleep, you're studying, because it don't work. It doesn't work. It's designed to deliberately fail. Public health is designed to deliberately fail. Our court system, we have brilliant minds, brilliant jurists, brilliant judges, brilliant lawyers. How is it that our court system is such an abysmal, dismal failure? How come? How come? How did it take 56 years for the entire country to reach Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police as the nation's last best hope? Because Kamala and Rowley and Pandey and Manning had no interest in cleaning up the police service, because it is deliberately broken. It is deliberately made that way so the country could be a criminal enterprise and nobody be brought to justice. So when Stephen Williams admitted that the fraud squad and the anti-corruption investigatory bureau are not properly funded, are not properly set up, you understand. Because more than them 5 little black hen chicken that get bullets in Chumakak, there are companies in this country that should be getting the attention of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Emil Elias said it about Colm Imbert. He is now your Minister of Finance. But Emil Elias, a financier and a backbone of the PNM, said if the police knew what Colm did, he would attract their attention. This is Trinidad and Tobago. And the only reason it is how it is because of the vote. Now let's talk about the vote. Because the vote is not stupid people. The vote is fearful people, beaten into submission. You already have less and you're afraid to lose that too. So they start every campaign that if you're black, them Indian come in. I remember that girl crying, Kamala going and take away everything. And now the UNC using the same thing to show PNM take away everything. And both of them playing you. Both of them playing you. They are playing you. They are using fear to play you. There is more than enough in this country for every citizen's needs. But the criminals behind these 2 political parties whose egos need for them to raid this nation and rub it dry. That's what's going on. And Keith Christopher Mugabe Sabgaroli now have questions to answer in 3 matters. Keith Christopher Mugabe Sabgaroli, the first black Syrian king of the infidels, he has questions to answer in AV oil, sandals, and green veil.
Somebody promised to abolish the tax. Somebody promised to be with the facts. Somebody promised to clean up the land. But in this clean land, rats still killing man. We bright little youths going to waste.
Somebody bitch, smile from the face.
Somebody take one love off the shelf.
Then they say, start to sell out themselves.
Somebody
somebody as Attorney General stood up in the Parliament, I kid you not, and told this nation that the company that shipped the cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia doesn't exist. That it's a ghost. Now, Norfolk, Virginia is in America. And in America, you can't ship a pencil sharpener without them knowing what in the sharpener, who shipping the sharpener, and who receiving it, in case anything goes awry on the way with your sharpener. But in Trinidad, we could ship cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia, and magically disguise the identity of the shipper. Cocaine could reach in this country that it could get processed into juice cans, sealed properly, and police know nothing about it. In this 2x4, little rock in the sea. In Trinidad and Tobago, this is the only country in the world that seems to have the ability to ship a shipment of cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia, and there not be a name on the other side as recipient that could have helped foreign and local law enforcement with their investigations. That shipment of cocaine came to this country as if by magic, assembled itself into Trinidad citrus juice cans as if by magic, got itself into the cargo again, magic, and found itself in Norfolk, Virginia. When the Attorney General could tell the nation that kind of magic is possible, know where we reach it. Be lucidly clear where we reach as a nation. UNC game, if you're still tonight could justify supporting either those two political parties, you are the problem. You are the problem. You are the reason the crime continues unabated. It is because of you the police service fails. It is because of you we don't grow food. It is because of you public health and education is a collapsed mess. It is because of you your life is how it is. Take credit.
I visit Valley Chamber, witness an orchestra, a bang, bang, bang of only politicians. Well,
rated their performance and style,
talent and endurance, a bang, bang, bang of parliamentarians. Politics that encourage hate, making good folks discriminate, bridges replaced by gates,
nurturing racism,
prejudice and tribalism,
multiculturalism,
amalgism from the UNC and the PNM and COP in this political symphony. It's a symphony. The TOP, MSJ and JSC and D political symphony. It's a symphony. Stop taking it cool.
don't be played for a fool. They're using race as a tool to divide, conquer, and rule, to justify their bull. The race card they always pull. And if tonight you're watching my half a 1% face and want to tell me, boy, frig you, boy, my mother was a UNC, my father was a UL, my grandmother was a ULF, and I is an Indian, and I'm sticking with them, you are the problem. And if you're the PNM, if you could still support the PNM tonight, knowing everything you know, listen to this, Listen to this. This, come on, man. Mrs. Robinson Regis knows that it was the norm for every PNM government to defer regulatory compliance. Her party has become a law unto itself, and it was no different with the Greenvale project. The UF report also documents a rare mea culpa, I am sorry, that came from the mouth of Colm Imbert as he gave evidence at that commission. Mr. Imbert was responding to the conspicuous shortcomings outlined by the commissioners regarding the shoddy management effected by the PNM in respect of a similarly flood-prone area, the Cleaver Heights Housing Development Project. This project formed part of the PNM's new policy in 2002 to provide low housing costs to citizens. Keith Rowley's name was called in that matter by Patrick Manning and are missing $10 million, and we still don't know what went on there. Dr. Keith Rowley headed the Ministry of Housing between 2003 and 2007. NH International Caribbean Limited, formerly Emile Elias Limited, Emile Elias's construction company succeeded in being awarded a contract in 2004 for the construction of 408 houses to be built on land owned or controlled by Emile Elias. Off report page 205. The letter of award was issued in May 2005. This is the level of criminality of your Prime Minister, Keith Rowley. Listen to what he has been involved in from ever since. The commission documented issues it collectively referred to as the second Cleaver Heights issues, performance issues concerning compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements, design and management, cost overruns, delay, and alleged defective workmanship. Of report page 206. Mr. Imbert submitted, among other documents, the following to the commission. 1. The watercourse running through the site had been covered over, culverted over approximately 100 meters. This not being shown on the original site layout drawing and not approved by the drainage division. 2. There was significant cutting and filling on the site without adequate soil stabilization measures. 3. A number of retaining walls were questionable stability and had not been approved by the design engineering branch of the Ministry of Works. 4. A large proportion of the natural forest cover had been removed without any revegetation with potential for soil erosion. 5. Drainage retention ponds were required but had not been constructed. 6. On-lot drains around several housing units were not functional or functioning effectively. Now this was the Minister of Housing, Keith Christopher Mugabe Sabga Rowley. This was his responsibility. That clusterfuck you just heard was all him, and all of it was Keith Rowley.
Lead vocalists have sore throat. Keyboard is playing the wrong note. It is of serial politicians.
Their lyrics not rhyming. Some have no sense of timing.
Of parliamentarians. Save me food for the powerless. Promoted because of justice. Or what democracy and grace. When the section quarter before, music run to the car. Who arrange this score? So impure with the UNC and the PNM and the COP and the political symphony. So symphony with the GOP, MSJ and JC and the political symphony. So corruption rebuff.
Say enough is enough.
The system will always fail.
Once the big fish not making jail. And that's the truth. And that's the truth. And for as long as we live in a country where people can become big fish out of crime and out of that big fish status avoid consequences for the crime, we're going nowhere. For every one jackass that finds himself on my wall, that tries to add me as a friend to lure me to either the PNM or the UNC, and when they realize I will never have interest in either of those two corrupt racist cults, the attacks against me start. But I want Trinidad and Tobago to understand that the mission to rescue Trinidad and Tobago is one of us at a time, one decision at a time, one awakening at a time, one vote at a time, one conversation at a time. Speak to each other, PNM and UNC, and say, listen, you see the black and the Indian bullshit? Let me stick a pin in that and let us talk. Decide I back in, then teeth in. Decide you back in, then teeth in. We suffering. Our children growing up in an insane nation. We can't grow old in this country in any kind of safety. You don't know if you will leave your house limping and go to the drugstore 5 years from now. Trinidad will be a devastatingly criminal empire. If this is the kind of criminality that's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, man posing with AR-15, how soon? 300 miles from here, Colombians, 400 Colombians invaded a town in Venezuela and slaughtered people, a mining town. This is the kind of shit that we have to look forward to in our future, because our country does not have secure borders. So if those Colombians decided to put to sea in some pirogues and come up the Caroni River, brace for your ass. They could probably call Massey and rent some vehicles to go and do the corruption and the criminality, and nobody is the wiser. We live in a nation that is broken by deliberate design. Billions of dollars of cocaine have passed through this country. In 2016, the then Minister of National Security admitted that 57 of this nation's citizens, women, were kidnapped and sold through human trafficking, and still they haven't established secured borders. The Attorney General said, of course the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister are both aware. The Attorney General said the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister are both aware that securing the borders is the solution to crime. Why? Why? Why have we not secured the borders as yet? They had a man power washing Taruba Stadium roof in the rain. They could find money for that bullshit. Why? Why we are not securing this nation's borders? Does it have to be a member of your family goes missing? Does it have to be for you to realize that what we're talking about here is not something that's easy to deal with, you know? The people who were working Petrotrin and get them letters, they're still in shock, you know. They can't believe that this is happening. The people in Tobago who've lost their homes, lost their businesses. There have been businesses in Tobago that are 25, 30, 40 years old that shut down and gone out of business. And they're still in shock that this was allowed to happen, you know. The people in Greenvale, what is dawning on them, because members of the Greenvale community have reached out to me and asked if I would represent them, and I told them, organize everybody, because we will get a battery of lawyers, and so the state, we will enrich you. Because the people of Greenvale, it is dawning on them that criminals in the PNM stole Caroni land, sold agricultural land from a floodplain to the housing authority as residential land, and the housing authority decided to build a housing project there. And the other government, the other party, the UNC, instead of rescuing them from that madness, grab it, finish it and distribute the keys. Because nobody have to make sense in this puppy show land. If you in government, if you could get away with it, do it. Look, live sport, room 301, looking back on the radio, on Gillette radio station. You think they give two shits about you? The mission is to grab and take and go. Get it outside. Get it in hard currency. Take their passports. See where they've been going. Because they travel, all of them. There's a limit of money that you could take out of the country. So they have to travel 5, 6, 7 times for the year. And they're traveling to deposit money. Yeah, they're posting little pictures on Facebook. The wife and the children out eating Al Gyro and things. But that's not why they're traveling. They're traveling to take the money out of the country. Your money. Trinidad and Tobago's money. The people's money. What is supposed to pay for the hospital, to properly run the hospital. But then, we don't see these things as ours. We see this country as something that you can rip off. All of us think in our minds that given the opportunity in a country this lax, with such weak law enforcement, if I had the opportunity, that's how people think. That's how people think. Bastille Pandey, Chad, Johnny Soong, Ishgal Baransing, and Brian Quaitown for the money they donated to his campaign fund. Whose names called in all the bacchanal that went on after? Find out from fellas, Angostura's management, who was laundering UNC money, who was a bagman for the Minister of Finance. Ask those questions. There is so much information available. We could talk for 3 months straight and don't call the same name twice. This country's hierarchy, its high society is tainted. I don't want to go to their weddings. I don't want to go to their parties and their dinners. I don't want to be associated with them. It's not high society. It's successful criminality. We have an organized crime in Trinidad and Tobago at the very top, not at the bottom. Not these little stunting jackasses who take bullets playing cards in Chumakak. Them is the least of our problems. Deal with what's going on top. Secure the nation's borders, take the guns off the street, create jobs, hope and opportunity, and them same little stunting jackasses working to buy and build a life. Because all of them want the same thing, you know. Brands and bling to attract the girls and have a life. That's it. All of we want to like ourselves. But we've made it impossible for them to do that. But there's a solution. And if we want it, we could fix it. We have to decide. We have to decide though, if we want a better nation. Because this, one shot. We either win general election or we gone. Can't do this for the next 5 years. This one, this hard ass one, this is to win the next election convincingly and to fix this country, govern it properly for the first time in its history.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Do it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting,
Fail beyond a doubt when you're voting.
vote them wrong. Vote them wrong. If it is the prove it
To be only for a mouth.
when you're voting, vote them wrong. Vote them wrong. If it is the time is now that
Change must come about, just as how you vote them in.
vote them wrong. Register and vote them wrong. If they can see, vote them wrong. State your finger and vote them wrong. Show them no mercy, vote them wrong. Vote them out in total scorn and utter disdain.
Let's put our country
Together again. Vote them out of power.
terminate the reign.
Let's put our country together again.
Greenvale was a political crime scene. Greenvale requires a commission of inquiry into it and the Housing Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago. If we get a commission of inquiry, and I have written the Prime Minister, I should read that for you. Because I have written the Prime Minister and we've served the Prime Minister the following document. Just give me one quick minute. I apologize. Mr. Prime Minister, as more and more information on this growing Greenville fiasco comes to light, it is starting to appear that the critical arms of state were aware that the location was not suited as a housing site and that it was recorded knowledge that any housing built there was going to be done so at grave risk as it was reserved as a floodplain. Somewhere along the way, this vital information was ignored and set aside and a housing development built, and citizens of the Republic put at risk to their persons and property for what can only be political points and expediency. Clearly, we need to get to the bottom of who exactly made the decision to push ahead with the project despite it having been refused planning permission, or so we have been told, by Town and Country on at least 2, if not more occasions, and the persons responsible prosecuted for their actions. Mr. Prime Minister, what is of incredible importance is the roles played by both the current Prime Minister as well as his predecessor. Him as the housing minister, rumored to have been the one to give the go-ahead to make this project happen, and her, the leader of government, on whose watch the project was completed and houses distributed to citizens of this country that put them in danger. Mr. Prime Minister, a public inquiry needs to be undertaken that brings these facts to the bright light of public knowledge so that requisite action can be undertaken to bring to justice all guilty persons and or parties, regardless of how high up the chain this goes. The people of this country should settle for nothing less, and the government of the day has a duty of responsibility to convene such an inquiry. In that regard, and on behalf of the citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in the interest of the pursuit of justice and transparency and accountability in the conduct of public affairs, we, the Progressive Empowerment Party, do call on the Prime Minister to have appointed commissioners of inquiry into this matter and the housing sector, and to provide them with the unfettered opportunity to bring us all to the truth of what exactly took place that led to these unfortunate circumstances. Respectfully, Phillip Edward Alexander, political leader, the Progressive Empowerment Party. Copied to Her Excellency the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Chairman of the Integrity Commission, Transparency International, and local and international media. Promising your roads and giving bottles. Tonight I went to buy some barbecue at a restaurant on Mokorapa Road. An elderly gentleman who was at the counter rushed over to shake my hand and say, "When is your next meeting?" I said, "Saturday." He said, "Where? Stanmore?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I will be there." "What time?" I said, "Noon." This Saturday at noon. A next guy walk up to me and shake my hand and say, "Get them thunder." Now, I like all of that. But I want to tell you this. More than anything, More than anything, Derek Benjamin, you're wrong and I will answer you now. More than anything, we need to stand together, stand up as one people. Not one commission of inquiry has failed in this country. Not one. Every single commission of inquiry did its job. A commission of inquiry is a tool to unmask and unveil wrongdoing and wrongdoers. That's its job. And every commission of inquiry from the Scott drug report come forward have done their jobs. They have unmasked wrongdoing and unveiled wrongdoing and unmasked wrongdoers. What is supposed to happen from there is action by the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Police Service of Trinidad and Tobago. If no action is taken based on the recommendations of the commissions of inquiry, you cannot blame the commissions of inquiry. Stop bad talking a commission of inquiry, because I promise you, a Progressive Empowerment Party government commission of inquiry into the housing sector is designed to unmask the wrongdoing and to ferret out where our money has gone, because we want our money back, and the actions will follow the outcomes like you've never seen before. But every commission of inquiry, and I take real umbrage with the people who bullshit and argue and denigrate commissions of inquiry. Not one failed. Not one failed us. The actions that were supposed to follow on from the commissions of inquiry, they failed. And I'm still trying to understand how PricewaterhouseCoopers continues to have a charter to operate in Trinidad and Tobago after being named as a material conspirator in the collapse of the Clico and CL financial empires through corrupt accounting. This Saturday at noon at 19 Stanmore Avenue, the Progressive Empowerment Party gathers again. There are a lot of things happening. Monday night, we're doing a Diwali light up at headquarters. We are building out our South office, our East office, and our North office. We are getting ready to shift gears. We are building a studio, as you're aware of. This is a backdrop. But we're building a real studio to do our shows. And all of this, unfortunately, requires that I ask you for money. Ask you to take part in everything that's going on. The New York chapter has a curricule happening on the 17th of November. If you are in New York or environs, please reach out to the Birchwoods, Challoner, Chester, Denise Xavier, or any of the other teams, Sandra Jacob, anybody else up in New York. Reach out to them, get your tickets, private message me, I will link you up with them. The Canada team, the Toronto team, the Senators, and the rest, they're doing human services. We need to ask you to take part in everything. We have a raffle. The raffle is being launched. It was supposed to be launched today. There's a minor delay with some documentation we have to provide. We're organizing that because the Progressive Empowerment Party, unlike these other political organizations, we benefit from a more intense scrutiny, but that's okay. We want them to keep us honest. We want to make sure that we dot every I and cross every T. So we will do it. But this raffle is only 2,000 tickets, and we need you to buy and to sell to help us. Because all of the things that we want to do for you, for this country, they cost money. And if you want a better nation, come and get involved. Don't just send money. I mean, if that's all you can do, then by all means. But you can also come and be a part. Volunteer to be a part of the movement. Come and be a part of the family. Come and involve yourself at some level. You could be anything in this organization. We have our internal elections happening on the 21st of December. All nominations are in, and that's happening going forward. We're opening North, we're opening South, East, North offices. Besides HQ, we're working on Chaguanas, Central, and Tobago. We have 5 hubs in Trinidad: North, East, Central, South, Tobago. Each of those hubs are going to get a company that will change the way government is done in this country. You could either decide, you could tell me, Phillip, piss off, I want to live up to my neck in bullshit. Choice is yours, the democracy. But if you want a better country, if you want to live in a nation where anybody who wants a job could get one, and anybody who have a job who want to buy, I'll do my live broadcast on the free Wi-Fi. And we'll find out what's going on. If you want to live in a country where anybody who wants a job could have a job, and anybody who has a job could own a home, and the price of food is kept, we can't continue under these circumstances. The connection, they're frustrating it now. Listen, Saturday at noon, 19 Stanmore Avenue. Come join us. peptrinbago@gmail.com is our email address. 347-4PEP. peptt.com is our website, peptt.com. We have an app, Pep app, P-E-P-A-P-P. Get on board, download it. It's free to download from all the app stores. Get the app and download it. I'm sorry for all the people who are getting bumped off from the failed Wi-Fi. We're trying everybody. We're working with everybody. This is the situation. If there's one thing, the Monday night of the flood, right after the flood, the head was so hot, they didn't have me to study and blocking my internet. We got 18,000 views that night. They didn't have me to study. The feed was spotless. They had nobody to interrupt with that night. They was busy trying to stunt for you. You remember when I told Trinidad and Tobago is not political, but remember when I wrote that? What if I could find that now, boy? I'm gonna read that back to you again, you know, because that whole thing that they put outside there, don't politicize the flood. It's not political. It's not political. The sons of bitches knew it was a political crime scene. That's what it was. That's what they was trying to hide. They was trying to hide that from the nation. Yeah? Knowing this weather was coming a week in advance, why weren't shelters ready and response crews activated? Why weren't sandbags stockpiled and distributed in the expected impact zones and low-lying areas through local government? Why weren't the helicopters and drones deployed to give real-time updates to citizens in need of evacuation? Who in any office of state was monitoring the rising levels in the nation's rivers and updating the citizens in close proximity? Where was the Organization of Disaster Preparedness and Management, ODPM? Were they prepared? Did they manage? Where were the Ministry of Works engineers and equipment to create emergency drains, runoffs, and berms? Why was there no one to respond to the alarms of rising floodwaters being raised by the citizens, despite hundreds of managers, engineers, and workers paid for exactly this purpose? Why a full 24 hours after the impact of a week of heavy rains and reports of rising floodwaters, the government still appeared to have no plan as to a response? The regional corporations missing in action, the army and police nowhere to be found. Where were the updates from the Ministry of Communications and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to guide the citizens to prevent the hours wasted in a gridlock to nowhere? Why does the Ministry of Planning continue to give permission to remove mangroves so that strip malls and warehouse complexes could continue to sprawl, leaving rainwater nowhere to go? How many times must we have the same exact flood disaster in different locations before we learn from it, prepare for it, and manage the fallout from it? If the function of leadership is knowing how to lead, understanding that the government's job is to manage and safeguard the entire nation to the well-being of the citizens. If politics is about managing the issues that affect the people, if this is not political, then pray tell, what is? Until we speak again, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.